Hey, thanks for coming back and watching the second half of the Flocculent Cathedral Incursion. Hope you're enjoying it as much as we all enjoyed playing it. Just wanted to chip in here and say that in this half, we do get a couple of rules wrong. But overall, I don't really think it made that much of a difference on balance. And everyone still had a great time and told a great story, which is ultimately all that matters. So just to save you typing in the comments, we know. Anyway, enjoy. You are now having now worked your way along and past the point where you fought that bandit and his corpse was dragged away unceremoniously by a cloud of insects. Just quickly, Nevin, did anyone else hear what he said to you?
I think yes.
Okay, who?
I think that Deserim was hanging back.
Yeah.
Whereas Theoden was more closer in and more involved with the insect intervention. So I think that Theoden probably heard.
Okay.
Fascinating.
I got this idea that this awful thing is happening and Theoden is just watching it with this childlike curiosity of, oh, this is nice.
Can I add to it?
Yeah, of course you can.
If it was the bugs that had dragged this corpse away and the bugs that maybe picked up on it, maybe that thrum, maybe they repeat, maybe that just, I forgive you, 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 just becomes this, and it reaches Theoden and she regards Nevin. Forgiven. Interesting.
I like that a lot. And I think that those words echo through the forest and through Nevin's head, because they heard them come out of that bandit's mouth as they're gasping breath. They move through Theoden's head as the bugs kind of reverberate that message. They communicate it the way that like mushrooms do, that kind of like network of communication that sprawls out, this wordless communication that has its human manifestation in those words, I forgive you. And I think that the bandit song continues to ring through the woods, and if you're not mistaken, it kind of sounds like they're singing that too, a song of forgiveness, a song of redemption. But then also those verses about the doomed trio ring loudest in your heads. And you work your way through a series of thick, gnarled cypress trees that are all draped with copious moss of every colour and hue. And it's kind of easy to get separated here. There are lots of tangled roots underfoot, thick networks of plants and lichens spreading along the floor. And the first thing you come to is, or I should say, are three corpses. They are armoured corpses. They are people, they are soldiers. They are all wearing helms that you would all recognise as being helms of a royal guard. To who is not clear, because any heraldry that is on these helms has been crushed. These helmets have been stoved in. And as all three corpses lay face down in this shallow pool of mossy, stagnant water, you can see that there are intricate spider webs connecting them all, glistening between their bodies. 13, exactly 13 emerald green spiders work their way busily along each thread of gossamer. And at that point, I think that Deserim feels the webs between her fingers start to itch. Nevin feels the tendrils start to pull at their cheek. And Theoden Feels the confused buzz of the insect in her head. How are you feeling as you push deeper into the gloaming mire, everyone?
Theoden knows they have to go forward, but the bug, seeing a spider, knowing its webs, knowing how easily it can be trapped, is now once again fighting against Theoden's insistence. The spasms this time, the jerking is harsher and harsher, and it is a fight for Theoden to put one foot in front of the other and retain a balance. She is jerked like a marionette on tangled strings. None of her movements make sense.
Anyone else want to say how they're feeling at this juncture?
There's definitely a curious fascination with obviously the spider web and the cobweb. I'd get closer, and out of interest, is there any like weaponry or armor or any like slither of metal that I could prize off at all?
I think that there's probably a shattered blade that probably could do some damage to someone, but I wouldn't say it was in much good shape as a weapon. It's been there for some time, enough time to have been rusted over and rotted away. So yeah, you could probably find something to help you in a pinch, but nothing that's going to help you on a noble quest.
Yeah, nothing about me is noble at this point. I definitely would palm off like a sliver of this blade. Like it basically is like in my head, into a pocket, and then just turn back. So there's no like, it's just more understanding that this is like the circle of life in some way. Like everything comes back to being tied up and used in some other way. Reuse, recycle. And that's what I'm doing. So
I like that. Nevin?
I think Nevin is the twinges of fear at each new revelation are getting stronger, but he's still clinging to a sense of logic and deduction and is trying to figure out, how did these people die so that I can avoid the same fate? Is there anything I can learn from these corpses that will help us?
Interesting. As Nevin is pondering this, and as Theoden is thinking about how this might be some kind of omen as to not walk into a similar fate, Desiree, you hear someone calling to you. It's a soft woman's voice. And you haven't really even thought about it before you've started following it. And it's getting darker now. It is moving from this dusk into night. And it's really hard for you all to remember how long you've been in here. Like, you've been through such wild changes of climate, the darkness provided by the canopy of the trees, the thickness of the flies, your fever dreams. Like, this could have been an afternoon, this could have been 4 days. You are still so tired, confused, you're spun out by this whole affair. And Desiree, you find yourself about 10 or 15 meters away from the others. You still can see them. And the patron saint Ariadne is whispering into your ear. And she says, beat them to it. I know the way. Will you follow me?
of course, as always.
What will you do to see it done, child?
Well, as they say, keep your enemies close. Well, you keep your friends close and your enemies closer. If I bring them with me, well, let's say we're all in for a late supper.
You will be blessed, my child. Nevin?
Excellent.
You feel a similar pull in a different direction. Someone whispering to you. Someone who has a very comforting voice. It's the patron saint Asclepia. She says to you, "What will you do to see my bidding done, child?"
I will do anything that sees a mutual benefit.
"Take the high road," is what she says, before the manifestation disappears. And it was only hazy. Desarim only heard her saint. Nevin caught a glimpse of his. And as Theoden's been left at the site of the crushed soldiers, I would say that Scylla's form appears in the puddle in which they are laying face down. Is it Scylla or Scylla?
Scylla.
Oh.
Scylla.
Scylla appears
Yeah.
in the kind of loamy green water, and you can see her mouth shape the instructions to you. She says, "What will you do to venerate me?"
I will sacrifice all in my way. In fact, I bring 2 fine sacrifices towards you, providing, and only providing, you guide me to the Ashur archives. That was our deal.
She says, "Seek the pool, and you will find your blessing."
The pool. And as Theoden is given a taste of direction, she overcomes the bug's instinct to hold back through the spiders and jerkily janks herself forward. There is a resounding, like a crack, as a bone somewhere breaks, and she begins to use the pain to move forward, step after step.
Desarim and Nevin, you can see Theoden awkwardly, jerkily start moving along the path again. What do you do?
I guess I glance back to Nevin and I go, "After you."
Nevin's going to glance around, unsure whether the high road was metaphorical or literal, and we'll see if there is a path leading upwards that he can take.
There isn't currently, but I like that you're already looking for those things. I mean, without climbing trees, which from your... And it's logical that like it wouldn't go anywhere. You'd just be in the trees and it would be much harder. It's quite thick, the canopy at the moment. But I think that you're definitely looking for a high road. And that's something you're always looking at, perhaps at the detriment of looking at the path in front of you, which... Are you all now following back on the path?
So,
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
In the absence of any other sign, I will simply follow the direct path.
You are... You start to feel close to something, okay? Because you start seeing these sections of broken down stone wall. And they're all kind of like waist high, and they extend in these kind of jagged lines in all directions, disappearing into the woods. And there's a moment where Nevin stops to catch himself, catch his breath. He's been kind of picking up the pace a little bit, and dislodges one of the stones. They're kind of dry-fitted, kind of dry stone wall type like stones. And as you nudge this stone loose, all 3 of you hear the wall audibly groan. And you don't really even have time to process it until you hear another... This is more a moan than a groan, if there was a difference. This is a moan than a groan. Coming from just up the path. And at this point, I think you're looking to each other. You are looking at Who's got the energy to get there first? Who will seek the divine blessing of their saint? Who will venerate their god first? And no one wants to be left behind. And the pace at which you move now is increased. And you come across a clearing. And there are 3 people in this clearing. And they are grotesque mockeries of humanity. They are bloated, reeking of rot figures. It seems to be that there is one wearing a long leather coat with half of a plague doctor's mask, the other half broken off by something growing from underneath. Through this guy's skull, ridges of black and purple mushrooms. There is another covered in what look like belts, but are probably just creeping tendrils. Again, mouth bruised by blooming fungus coming out. And the last one, difficult to really see much of them. They have been so overcome by these parasitic fungal growths. But you can see quite clearly a symbol carved into their head. What other signs do you see in these 3 twisted forms that convince you this is a warning of what will happen to you?
I think the figure with the scar of Sklilla in its forehead doesn't just have one head. 6 more sprout. Some are missing their heads, its necks, its stumps, its ends of. There are maybe mockeries of what a face would look like at the end of one of them. It is similar to the saint that Theoden saw, but a bastardization. It is wrong in every way. It is heretical to her to look upon. I think that would probably be what drives her a little bit mad.
Anyone else, please?
I think that the figure with the long coat is dragging a limp and lifeless leg behind it, caught in a large metal trap.
Oh yeah, I like that.
And the trap itself has even started to sprout the fungus around it.
Oof. I think the creature formerly known as Deserim, I think it's just something as simple as the eyes. The eyes have a look which Deserim knows all too well. That sort of 1,000-yard stare of, night after night doing the shifts. She sees it in every girl, every boy's face that passes through. Is that idea of the life being really just snuffed out of you. And she recognized those as her own eyes. And there's just a moment of just going, You're just like big sigh, like, yeah, that one's for me.
So they have been to this point huddled round a long extinguished campfire, almost as if they are just going through the motions of what it felt like to be alive at some point. But one of the heads on the back of Not Theoden notices the 3 of you. And these bloated, wretched, horrifying, shambling creatures get to their feet and start lumbering towards you. I think that we're going to have some ruin rolls here. Whoever wants to go first, because this is pretty bad. They are, I would say, that their bloated nature seems to make them twice the size of a normal person. They are these huge, lumbering brutes. So, ruin rolls, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
Just the one dark die.
Yep.
Cool. Shit.
Oh, don't say that.
So Theoden has gone up to 4 ruin.
Yeah. With a 6.
Oof. Nice.
Big oof.
Big oof. A 2 for Deserim.
You're okay.
I have 4 ruin and I rolled a 4.
So your ruin will increase.
Damn.
I will get to your conditions shortly. But firstly, how are you going to avoid these horrifying remnants of treasure hunters past, or perhaps omens of treasure hunters future?
I think that Nevin is taking the high road message to heart, whether it's in a sort of twisted interpretation that was not the one meant, and he recklessly begins the ritual of the beast again, and begins to sprout feathers, rotting muck-covered feathers, as he becomes a bloated pigeon and tries to flap above these creatures and into the boughs of the trees for safety.
I really like this.
That's very cool.
What is everyone else doing? We'll come back to that roll.
So I put my hand into my bag and I pull out coins from before, because I know that's the thing that's driven us all here is greed, and I'm just going to throw them, like scatter them, to see if it distracts them.
I like that. Theoden, what are you doing?
Theoden is going to use a ritual.
Okay.
They are going to attempt to inhabit this mockery of a vessel that is before them.
No.
Okay, let's go for... We'll go for Nevin's first. So you are going to be using a ritual. So what are we afraid is going to happen, everybody, if Nevin fails? Bear in mind, Nevin is on 5 ruin. Or actually, I'll give you the choice. Would you like to go after someone else and possibly change your mind to do a reduction roll instead? Or would you like to take flight first?
I think Nevin's sense of self-preservation is too strong to use this moment to betray someone else. So I think he's going to put his own feathery skin first.
Okay. So you are going to be... what skills are going to help you here?
I'm going to suggest that the layers skill is going to be useful because I'm looking for a place of safety away from danger.
I will accept that. I think that's okay. So you can have 1 dice. Oh, sorry. I haven't discussed what could go wrong if this fails. I think straight up, you'll get... The tendrils will cancel the ritual, and you'll be grounded. Anyone else?
I will suggest that he manages to take flight, but as he does, the tendrils take over the rest of his face and he is blinded completely. So when he flies into the trees, if he flies into the trees, maybe he hits a branch, a bough, and just falls.
I like that. Deserim.
I would suggest that as you're taking form, it's I was trying to think of something simple. Your arms are broken in places, so that should you fail, you have no use of your arms as a result because they are this sort of mid-transformation and useless.
I really like the blinding element of this. I think that you will, if this fails, I think that you will be down a sense essentially. So, anyone got a devil's bargain for Nevin? I have one which is no matter what, I think that you will be separated from the others.
I'm going to say no matter what, you lose the ability to use this ritual.
No matter what, just because I'm thinking of pigeons, their eyes go to the sides. Your eyes are on the side of your head, so you have a blind spot. Not only are you blinded, but you're a blind spot. So you can only see from the, yeah.
So, would you like to accept any of these devil's bargains? They're all pretty juicy at this point. We're getting pretty good at these, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh, I want weird eyes. I want weird eyes.
Okay.
Got one flower out of one eye, and
Yeah.
then just a beady eye on the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, it just becomes sort of really beady and black.
So that's
Oh, he goes from predator to prey.
Oh.
So that's 2 light dice, 1 dark dice. If your dark dice turns out to be the highest, then you will be lost to the forest. Remember, if it's the lowest, you can re-roll it. You can add a dark dice and re-roll it, but then you are obviously doubling your chances of failure. But you're also you're fishing for 6s, fishing for crits, and you can do that as many times as you like until the dark dice is the highest. Would anyone like to offer help in any way to the person who tried to betray them earlier?
I'm good. Good luck.
I think it makes narrative
I'm going to wait
sense.
for the roll. I'm going to
Okay.
wait for the roll.
I think it makes narrative sense that Nevin acts first and that everyone else reacts to it. So, have you got your pool of dice there? Let's see what you got.
Okay. Oh, the dark die is the highest, and it's a 5. The other 2 are a 4 and a 2.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Would you like to add a dark dice? Oh no, you can't because it's the dark dice was the highest.
Yeah.
Okay. Would anyone like to help?
Theoden looks and sees what is happening. This transformation gone grotesquely wrong as the eyes begin to split to the sides of the head. And she shrugs and just turns her attention back. And with that as well, just under her breath, she will mutter, I cannot believe he believed that I would ever forgive such an insolent man.
So, as Nevin goes to beat his wings, we see feathers start to sprout, grey and shimmering greens and purples, and a beak start to form. But then also it has rodent-like elements. Teeth start to protrude from the top. Ears start to sprout. And then finds himself being wrestled with by sprouting, burning red tendrils that seem to be at the center of this tug of war between rat and bird. And Nevin does take off, does burst through the canopy, and takes a glimpse of what he is trying to reach. The Flocculent Cathedral. The blessing of your saint. The very thing you need to get back. To pay off your debts. The thing that will redeem you. The very thing that's just so close and so just within your grasp. And that twisted mossy spire is the last thing you see before the tendrils take hold and you plummet into the ground below and become part of the forest. Theoden, you've just seen Nevin. You don't know what happened to them. Wherever they landed, it's somewhere else. So what do? You're lining up a ritual of your own.
I'm lining up a ritual of my own. She will regard the fall of this tragic little surgeon and turn her full attention back to the abomination in front of her. And then raise up those fingers again. She's lost 2. She breaks 3 on her right hand, cracks suddenly, and invokes her ritual of possession, and reaches out with her mind to stab at whatever lies inside the creature of not Theoden.
So you're trying to take control of the alternate Theoden.
Yes.
And what are you trying to do when you manage to do that?
I'm essentially going to make it self-immolate. Well, not immolate, but I want it to tear itself apart. I want it to see what it is, which is heretical to the nature, to everything that it is. I want it to gouge its own hands into its face and just begin tearing and tearing and tearing. I want it to rip the necks off of its own neck. I want it to tear the other faces apart. And I want it to feel how I have always felt.
Okay, so what do we think will happen if this goes wrong? Maddy, please.
I think that the tearing impulse will be for Theoden's own face rather than the creature's face.
Mm-hmm. Fiona?
I think this creature just looms across and just envelops you, like opens like a giant maw and just like takes you inside. And so you're whilst it's trying to feel what you're feeling, you are what it's feeling.
Yeah, I think that if this goes wrong, you are going to be marked by that and endlessly pursued. Devil's bargains, anyone? I'm going to say that no matter what, I'm sorry, Fiona, no matter what, the other forms will chase Deserim.
I'm just a normal person in this group.
Maddy, have you got a devil's bargain?
No matter what, a spore from the fungus is secreted away into your clothing and could sprout at any time.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Fiona, have you got a devil's bargain to offer?
All right. I'm going to try and do something like shiny so I don't get the fallout from this. No matter what, I think with the tearing of what you're trying to do to make it feel like what you're feeling, I think you grow a face on the back of your head.
Jess, you've got some real bargains there. More bargains than B&M. Please tell us which one you accept, if any.
If any.
Sorry, Fiona.
Damn it! You don't want to be two-faced. You don't want to be two-faced. Come on.
I already am two-faced, darling. I'm going to take the devil's bargain, where Deserim is given the horrendous handicap of having 2 of these things after her.
Okay, so
I threw my coins and everything.
We have 1 dice for, I'm assuming, rituals.
1 dice for rituals, I'll say yes. And then I don't think...
You accepted a devil's bargain, so that's another white dice. And then you're doing a ritual, so that is a dark dice. So I'm sure that Fiona doesn't want to help.
I refuse to help. I'm busy.
Okay, let's...
I'm going to roll the dark dice first and see, because I've lost my other dice. So the dark dice is a 3.
Okay, that's lower than your current ruin, but...
Well, let's see what that light dice is. The light dice is a 6.
Damn it!
Okay, so...
That's the best light dice I've ever rolled. Oh,
please, Theoden, talk us through what this looks like.
Theoden's body goes limp once again, the last bone that cracks in her fingers sends her body into just a stupor. And the bugs that have been thrumming so far around us in sort of like protection also go silent. They drop to the ground. The air hums with something different now. Malevolence. And as it does, the figure in the middle, with these heads, neckless, faceless, neckless, headless heads, begin to writhe and spasm. And then all of a sudden, the jerky movements that you're used to from Theoden begin to take on a life in this horrendous corpse. Its arms come up, and I like to think, because of how bloated and rotten it is, the bones of its fingers are exposed, and it dives one into its own head and just tears a chunk from its face. And then from that chunk, the other hand goes into the wound and just pulls at whatever is in the and just keeps digging and digging. Then suddenly it's ripping at the neck. It's ripping at all of the necks. It is tearing them down, whatever it can, just to rip itself apart limb from limb. And as it does, you see the bones of this thing. It isn't just the fingers that have been broken over time. There are cracks all throughout it. Its ribs, parts of them are missing. Its skull is fractured in so many ways. And it just keeps going and going until it is little more than mush pulverizing itself on the floor.
That was amazing. Thank you. Also, are you okay, IRL?
Oh, I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
That was amazing. That's given you an opportunity to escape, like, because the other two, these lumbering forms which kind of come forward, and that groan you heard earlier is their version of human speech, and it's kind of like this. As it both of them lumber. I can't do accents, but I can do groans. Lumber after Deserim, chasing you in the opposite direction of where Theoden is going. What are you going to do?
Good question. Again, I think to myself, I should write to them. And
A stiffly worded letter to your MP would probably do.
Yeah. I think, in seeing that what has happened, and they're like, Deserim will remember this. Will dart between the trees and leap over stuff if they're sort of chasing. What she's going to try and do, if possible, is try and dart it so that if one follows and then the other one's trying to cut her off, she wants to be able to, that they're both, it's almost like a head-on collision, and she's going to try and either jump or roll out of the way so that they both go into each other, and hopefully that the tendrils and the stuff will just combine. I mean, I'm hoping that they'll like bump into each other to like break apart rather than like tie and become a super big one. But I'm trying to at least get rid of one of them in some way so that they can come into being.
Deserim is the only treasure hunter so far who hasn't done a ritual.
No, yeah.
And I wonder whether your skill in traps might be useful in either way. If you wanted to do a ritual here, or you wanted to do, is it like you're letting them chase you and kind of trying to get them to smash into each other or fall off or get tangled up in roots or something? Is that what you're going for?
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I don't think it's ritual yet.
Okay.
I think, I agree. Just because I don't imagine me turning around going like, you're doomed. Like I feel like they've got the edge on me. So yeah, I was thinking traps. Is what I was thinking.
So this was going to be a risk roll. What do we think will happen if this roll fails?
Instead of them crashing together and falling apart, they combine into one larger malevolent force that is even more difficult to deal with.
Super.
I'm not beating that, and I'm instantly taking that. We're going to have a mega shroom. I think those are the stakes. So you've got one dice for your traps. You have the option of a devil's bargain. I think I will offer you the devil's bargain of no matter what, something bigger is going to turn up.
I will offer the devil's bargain of no matter what, Deserim reaches the Flocculent Cathedral first.
Well, I've had a lovely time, Chris Tarrant. I think I'm going to go for reaching the cathedral first. I'll take that.
Okay,
devil's
so
bargain,
that's
please.
do you think that this is sufficiently dangerous enough for you to put your body and mind on the line for another dark dice?
Oh, of course. Why not? I feel like I'm running. I might panting. This is the most I've done exercise in a while.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, God.
I have to say that like being chased by big mushroom guys is great cardio. Okay, let's have the roll and see how it goes.
So yeah, so it's 3 dice in total, 2 light, 1 dark. Okay, so I've got my ruin is higher. It is a 5.
Okay, so you got a ruin on the dark dice, yeah?
Yes, I did, and I've got a 5 and a 2 on the other dice.
Okay, so your ruin goes up to 4.
Yep.
And you do manage to get away. I think that what we're going to say is that these two lumbering creatures who are coming after you with just getting deafeningly close to you, swinging their big puffed up knuckles towards you and trying to swipe you away, clash into each other and get knotted in this sprawling tangle of roots. And because they are so large and ungainly, they're like two tortoises on their backs. They're struggling to right themselves, and you're relatively quick and able-bodied, even though the trials of the gloaming mire have taken their toll. But you manage.
I mean, to be fair, I've not broken any bones,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I feel I'm all right. Yeah.
On purpose or accidentally. So you
Yeah, exactly.
you manage to wriggle out of this maze of roots, and you can see Ariadne beckoning you, and you instinctively know she's showing you a shortcut. Do you follow?
Of course I follow her. Lead on.
Theoden,
Yes.
are you just straight running now?
Oh, no. Theoden has promised 2 sacrifices in exchange for the information she requires. And so the bugs rise back into the air. They form that hand that so eagerly threw away the corpse of the dear doctor's rival. And now it grabs onto the leg, the puffy, bloated, pigeony leg of the doctor, and drags it behind her as she makes her way to the Flocculent Cathedral.
Up ahead, you can sense something else in amongst the trees. And you smell something that you last smelled just before you were dangled off that cliff. It's that musk. Up ahead, I would say you can start to see glimpses of silver and jade through the trees. You are feeling like you are close. You know that there is something powerful just at the end of this short, flat stretch of old cobbled path. These green stones lined either side. You drag the corpse of the good doctor behind you, slowly making your way towards where you're being instructed to go. But something is blocking your path. Stood at the archway of the Flocculent Cathedral, or the outer wall, I should say, is a giant stag. It is a colossal rutting stag, and it's the color of jade. It is easily 20 meters high at the shoulder.
Jesus Christ.
Like, it is 4 times the size of any of you just at the shoulder. Its antlers are razor sharp, overgrown with moss and lichen, and it snorts, and as it does, these clouds of spores come out of its nostril, and it sees you, and it scrapes its foot back as if it's getting ready to charge, and you see that it's got something else on one of its antlers. It has half a plague doctor's mask. What are you going to do? Out of the corner of your eye, you see Deserim making her way around. And the stag does not notice her making her progress in on the cathedral. What do you do?
I am dropping the doctor's corpse. And I am going to call forth the Leviathan, the Sklilla.
Oh.
So you are trying to summon a...
I am using my ritual to call forth a creature of the deep.
So
and in lack of the deep, what I was thinking is because I have been drinking so much water. I would like this thing to emerge from me. I would like my insides to turn out as my stomach is pulled up through my esophagus, out of my mouth, and the many heads of Sklilla form from my organs and solidify into the 7-headed demon I so revere.
Sure.
I guess. Yeah.
So, and you're trying to conjure the Leviathan in some way to fight off the stag or distract the stag so you can get through, right? Yeah?
Yes, I'm going to go with maybe intimidate away or, yeah.
Okay. So, what do we think is going to happen if this fails? I'm going to just go out on a limb and say you're going to be sick in front of a giant stag.
How embarrassing.
Yeah. And the stag is going to basically just gore you to death. Maddy, have you got anything that could happen to Theoden if this goes wrong?
I think that attempting this ritual in the absence of a large body of water is a sin in the eyes of this deity, and so you are forever damned.
That is so good. Fiona, can you beat that?
No, of course not.
No.
That is really fucking cool.
If this goes wrong, then the consequence is eternal damnation.
Hell yeah.
So let's get a pool of dice together. Right. So we've got, are you using rituals again or surrender? Are you trying to make the stag surrender?
I will.
Or deceive it?
I may go for surrender myself, as in she is surrendering herself to the Leviathan.
Okay.
And so we'll go with surrender, and we will go with the ritual. So that is 2 light dice, 1 dark dice.
No, that's one light dice for surrender. 1 dark dice for the ritual.
Right, got you.
And would you like to accept a devil's bargain? So, my devil's...
You'd be so kind.
Yeah. My devil's bargain is no matter what, you are going to have to take the route into the cathedral that your saint told you not to. There are, just as a spoiler, there are 2 ways into the cathedral, and you were told which road to take?
The high road.
The high road.
Nevin was told to take the high road.
What were you told?
I was told
the pool.
The pool would be to seek the pool. Yes,
seek the pool. You will have to take the high road if this goes wrong.
Damn.
Oh, no matter what.
Okay, no matter what. Okay.
Anyone else with the devil's bargain?
Okay. Okay. Like you said, going out on a limb or an organ here. I think no matter what, I think doing such a ritual is quite damaging. I think your capacity to breathe, your lungs will be like 50%. So as a result, if you need to get through, say, the water or anything like that, you can't hold your breath, or you can't. It's going to take you a lot more effort to do things because you have severely reduced your capacity to hold air.
Okay.
Nice. Okay.
Maddy, what have you got?
I think that no matter what, when the ritual recedes, and if it's successful, all these heads are sprouting out of your mouth. No matter what, one of the heads will just remain sort of dangling out of your mouth forever.
I think I'll just build on that. I really like that idea. I wonder if one of the heads will detach and just constantly be around. It will basically be manifested like a single head of a hydra, just always around and maybe not helping you.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. We're going with that.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
That.
Made out of lungs and appendix.
So you've taken Devil's Bargain. You should have 2 light dice, 1 dark dice. Would you like to put your body and mind on the line?
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. I will put my body in my mind
Take
on the line.
another dark dice in that case.
Done. Sold.
Roll them up and let's see what happens. No one's going to help you because no one is anywhere near.
I refuse. Yeah. I think I helped once before and that didn't work in my favor.
Although I suppose like you could help by like trying to distract the stag maybe, but why would you?
Well, why would
Exactly.
I?
On the wind, you hear a pigeony voice saying, "Fuck you."
All right. My dark dice was a 2 and a 3.
Yep.
My light dice. Oh, a 4 and a 2.
That is just a success.
Oh my
God.
So, do you want to tell us what the ritual looks like, and then I'll pick up what happens after that? Also, I don't really want to describe this person like yakking up their guts.
In the way one might turn a coat inside out, you see Theoden's arms break, snap, the crunch as bone grinds against bone and is sucked into their body, their limbs that were once maybe outstretched, just in, the legs again pulled in, the torso just crumples in on itself, just down, and she becomes this tiny little box of what once was a person, and then a guttural and out from her mouth sprouts this goddamned hydra, all 7 heads born from one another quickly. There is organs forming their necks, a heart forms one of the heads, each of them sprouts longer and larger than the last until the final one riles up and reigns supreme, formed of bone and mucus and slime and blood, and this 7-headed figure stares down the stag. Each of these organs forming each head opens a mouth somehow and screams.
Very good. I think that stag charges. And
shit!
It charges the spectral hydra, and it allows you to step out of the way as its like hooves thunder by. And this is like a stag the size of a giraffe, essentially. Yeah. And the earth shakes as it bounds by, and that intense musk smell brings you back to your senses like smelling salts. And the spectral form of this hydra, as you see it pass, wraps around the stag, 6 of its heads snapping at its neck, distracting it off and causing it to stampede and trample down these huge trees, just snapping them in half. It disappears. The path is clear for you now to head to the cathedral. But as you turn, one of the hydra's heads remains, and it starts to snap after you as you run.
Her bone's broken and her just entire frame is racked. There is very little of the Theoden, the sort of poised Theoden that came into this forest left. Mm-hmm. And she staggers and just stumbles her way to the cathedral.
So is the hand of flies still dragging the body of the doctor?
Yes, I will say that has sort of is continuing to happen. Just it's something she doesn't have to physically do herself. So she's instructed that queen bee to relift that bloated leg. And at this point, having been dragged so far, I'm going to say that leg is hanging on by a thread
Yeah.
to the rest of the body.
You both individually come to what you have sought this whole time. Visible through trees are glints of silver and jade, and you can hear the hymns of the fen. The cathedral is a natural grove of massive, tightly packed trees, giving them, as Nevin saw as they rose above the canopy, the appearance of a twisted green spire. Everything is almost utterly overgrown with thick layers of moss and lichen that are feet thick. You might mistake some of these things for walls, but they are blocks of moss. They encrust the tiny gaps between the boughs, but you can just about make out the smooth altar at the centre. Its meteoric iron, delicately wrought silver candelabra sits on top. There are intricate statues that make up the stations of the saints. There's a heavy tome on the altar bound in verdant green leather, banded so intricately with copper, it's resting upon a stone lectern. And surrounding it there are stone pews draped in moss, decadent and somnolent. There are two ways in. Deserim has the choice of either the dizzying heights of the bell tower or plunging into the sacred pool and swimming through the sluice that feeds the cathedral's well. Theoden does not have the choice, must take the pool. Which will it be?
It's going to be the pool. I want a showdown. Let's go.
Okay. And yes, Theoden, you're taking the pool as well. I think that the spire through the bell tower is much higher, much more dangerous. And I think I'm going to say that Deserim, that was the shortcut that Ariadne was suggesting, and you're kind of having to go against that because it's slightly easier.
Yeah.
I think you both emerge through that first bowed gate and enter the grounds of the cathedral, and the pool stretches out in front of you. You both arrive at the lip of the pool itself. It looks stagnant. It looks pitch black. What do you do?
Theoden is going to toss the body of the doctor into the pool. Just with a wave, a jerky, broken wave of the arm, just, and in it goes.
I made it.
So, technically, you got there first. Yeah.
Yes, you well done.
Hooray!
Yeah. You don't win this game, but you just did.
Yeah.
A point. For
Yeah.
She'll then quite happily bow to Deserim and go, "After you."
Child, I have seen so much that you don't understand, and I just wanted to say, whilst this is impressive, you are nothing in the eyes of what you seek. No deity is coming for you. There is nothing at the end of the tunnel, and I would like to use my ritual of doom right here, right now, to, I guess, reveal that all this stuff, all this sort of like, I am the chosen one, I'm the best of it, has been nothing, and it has all come from you. Like, as corrupt as Deserim is, so too is Theoden.
Yeah, do it.
Do my ritual, please.
Okay, so what are you trying
if that
to
is a thing.
achieve? What? So I think this is interesting because the ritual says make a creature feel a sense of impending doom, and I always kind of assumed that creatures would not include the others, but I actually think that this makes a lot of sense, and if everyone is okay with it, I'd be more than up for exploring this. Is everyone okay with it?
I'd like to add to it and say that there is a creature inside Theoden right now. There is a goddamn bug dictating a lot of her movements, so
Bug brain.
depends on.
So
I'd say if you want to cast it on Theoden, go for it, or the bug.
that works.
Either at this point is a little goblin. So.
I'm happy to do whatever suits the story in that sense.
Yeah, I think either's fine. So I would like to know specifically what you are trying to do and what you want to happen.
I, keeping in mind of Lines of Veils and stuff, I think it's about like getting Theoden to relive every single flashback. Like there's all the idea of submitting to the pain, etc. I don't think the pain ever existed. I think it's all been made up in that person's head. Like they've been taught that they are this very important thing, and very punishingly, whatever that stuff is, ultimately it has been their own choice to deal with this. And actually there is nothing, that their power has just come from themselves, but there's no higher reward, there's nothing. And so as a result, I think the ultimate thing is for them to relive this, and I'd be sort of overcome by it, that they can't move and just slump down, defeated in that sort of sense, weak, because that is what they are.
So essentially you're trying to stall Theoden by and then get ahead.
Stalling. That's what I'm doing. Yes. Fancy stalling.
Using the incredible power of making someone feel so awful that they just stop, question everything about their themselves in an existential manner. What do we think will happen if this fails? I'm going to come right out and say, if this fails, you are going to get kind of lost in the ritual, and by the time you come out of it, it'll have had no effect, and Theoden would have easily got away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Maddy, have you got anything?
I think if this goes wrong, some of your own words kind of bounce back on you, and you start to feel your own sense of despair, and you start to wonder whether getting into this cathedral is even worth it.
I like that. Theoden, have you got anything that could happen if this goes wrong?
I'm going to say that as your ritual is ongoing and you disembody yourself to make sure this happens, Theoden could take advantage and possess you.
I think I'm going to decide that there's elements of all three at play there. I think that you will lose Theoden by disembodying yourself in the ritual and open yourself up for attack later on. And I also think that the reason that you will fail in the ritual is because the doom is bouncing back on you, and you have the kind of effects of that. So you've got a dark dice because it's a ritual. What skill are you using here?
Now that is a very good question. I don't think it's a surprise.
Nope.
I don't think it's a trap. I don't think it's vermin, and I don't think it's flattery. I don't think I'm using a skill.
Wow. Here we go.
Yeah.
So
no skill.
Now it's the only thing that will stop this being insta your ruin will go up is accepting a devil's bargain. I think the devil's bargain I will offer is, no matter what, the stag will come back and bring the rest of the Hydra with it.
I will say that no matter what, if you enter the pool, you will not leave the pool.
Maddy?
No matter what, the fungus from earlier has infected the corpse of the doctor, and it will attack you.
Oh, yeah. I want the doctor, the good doctor, to come back.
Yeah. I love that. So you now have one white dice and one dark dice.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
I guess no help.
Imagine.
Help from a corpse, technically. Okay.
So I rolled a 1 on the black dice.
Oh.
And a 1 on the white dice.
Snake eyes. Your ruin goes up to 5. It is a failure.
Yeah.
So do you want to just describe the ruin, and then the rest of us will take over from that point?
Super. So that again, just the way she speaks, you can almost see like the spittle as she's sort of saying these really horrible things to a person who's clearly been traumatized by all these things, and it's just like it almost is like it steams. It's like acid in a way, the way it sort of spits, and as a result, her lips start to burn because she's not in control of it anymore. She's kind of desperate, and so it starts to eat away at the things. So to the point where there is no more lips, it is just more of a horrible grimace as these sort of the teeth sort of like keep going. And so even then, it's almost like a cycle of like the acid, like words burn away at the lips, but then can't form the proper words. So it gets worse and worse. It's almost like the saliva is pooling out essentially and burning away the jaw just to leave the exposed bone. And so it's just absolute garbage and nonsense. Just almost like the chattering of teeth and the tongue just like lolling out essentially.
Maddy, would you like to describe the doctor's corpse coming back to life, please?
Yeah, I think you just hear a slight gurgle of water. And then from the pool, a feathered, clawed hand bursts out of the water, covered in tiny little spores of fungus, and just reaches out to grab your leg.
And I think that as the doctor's face comes up, tendrils still dripping out of one side of the mouth, mushrooms starting to puff out of the insides of his eyes, you just hear this as they start to pull at your leg.
Yeah.
Theoden.
I've achieved my dream and become a Last of Us.
Yes. Theoden.
Yes.
You see, heading towards you, the spirit of a disembodied hydra's head, like a giant snapping. And I'm imagining it kind of like a bit like a moray eel, you know, those kind of horrible, with like the 2 rows of teeth and the long tongue and those dead eyes. And it is pushing you into the pool. Now, this pool is, like I say, thick and full of pitch black water. There's narrow choke points you'll have to squeeze through to get to the other side and into the interior of the cathedral through its well, through twisting pitch black narrow tunnels. I would like a risk roll, please.
Oh, come on.
Yes,
Come
yes,
on.
yes,
So what are we afraid will go wrong if this roll fails? I'm just going to say you're going to drown.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
I'm.
Oh, sorry. It's for Maddy and Fiona to decide.
I don't think I can top drowning, to be honest, because I think if anything, just to add flavor to it, is that you get something of yours is caught on like a stone and it's that sort of like trying to pull out, and you don't pull out in time, you lose the air. So I think you're like maybe like a foot or 2 from your destination, so you're almost there, and yeah, you can't.
Tragic.
Maddy, have you got anything to add to that, or anything new to throw into the mix?
I think I just am seconding what's already been said and just say that the mundanity of dying just to drowning with no other supernatural elements to it when the water is your holy place would be even more devastating.
Or actually, that's actually really good. But what if, because it's your holy place, what if the Hydra drowns you?
Oh,
Like, as in, this is you're a servant of this embodiment of this creature, and it decides that you're the sacrifice it wants and just drowns you there and then.
Oh, yeah, that would really suck.
Okay, so what skills apply in this situation for Theoden?
Their god, their saint, has asked them to enter the pool, has told them the only way through is through the pool. I'm going to say they have surrendered to that will. And I'm
Okay.
going to use surrender.
Yeah.
as the skill.
I think I'll accept that. You'll take that. Are you putting
Okay.
your body on the line?
Oh yeah.
Take a dark
Yeah,
dice.
I think at this point we kind of have to, don't we?
Yep.
Also, physically, hell yeah.
Okay, let's
All
see
right.
the roll, please.
Okay.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, was there a devil's bargain we want to accept? I'm going to say that no matter what, the rest of the Hydra is going to come back. And it is going to start tearing the cathedral apart. And only the sacrifice will stop it.
I think just because you've broken so many bones, I think no matter what, I think the act of swimming is like, again, like you might hurt yourself. I think your leg also be like your foot's going to be completely broken in some way. So you're going to be moving at half speed for the rest. If you're going to try and escape, just because you've broken so many bones, you're so fragile. You've got hollow bones. I think that's what it is. Like
a terrible bird.
Yeah.
Maddie, have you got a devil's bargain for Jess?
Yes, my devil's bargain is no matter what, the insect in your brain is terrified of water and will try and burrow out through any means possible, possibly injuring your brain.
Okay, which one would you like
We
to
have
say?
a
We know
winner.
we
We
have
have
a
a
winner.
winner.
Yeah.
Give me
Great,
bug
great,
burrowing
great.
for sure.
Okay,
for
so I
sure.
think that's definitely 1 dark dice, 2 light dice. Is that right?
I believe so. And if I'm putting my
so.
body on the line, is that another dark dice?
Are you doing a ritual here? Is that what you're doing?
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, no. I've got
Yeah.
that.
If it's just a risk roll, then it's 2 light, 1 dark.
All right. Okay. Dark dice is dark dice is a 6.
Okay.
So come on, light dice. That's a 4 and another 4.
Okay, so you do succeed because the 6 is a success, but it's also the highest dice. So your ruin is up. You are both at 5 ruin.
Beautiful.
So you push yourself through this pool. It is like swimming through black custard. It is incredibly thick. You can feel things scraping by your body, and when you turn to see what it is, you can see that it's the remains of other people who have tried to take this path. But still you are driven on. You are driven on to squeeze through these ancient tunnels, squeeze your body through these crawl spaces, and you come up gasping for air on the other side. But something else comes out of your body after you cough up mouthfuls of moss and lichen and rancid water. Please describe to us how your insect chum decides to leave your body.
You know how when you're underwater and you don't have enough air left and it feels like burning, which doesn't make sense because you are underwater and your throat begins to like swallow automatically, and that panic and that fear that rises, and it feels like your blood is boiling and you just desperately try to claw for the surface. Even though she's not completely submerged, that's what she feels. That is everything that Theoden is feeling as the bug stabs at that part of her brain which tells her to get out of the water, completely anti to everything she's ever known. And as she emerges, she opens her mouth wide, and it's a little too wide. Her jaw cracks down, and she pulls it until the bug that was in her brain comes out, like drills down out through her mouth and out. And she is left coughing and retching and pulling out. Is that leftover teeth that this thing has knocked as it's made its exit? And she just pulls them out, flicks them into the water, swallows, and tries to set her eyes on Deserim.
So on the other side of the pool is Deserim, who is about to fight.
Before she goes in,
Yeah.
can Theoden just, like with a mouthful of blood, scream across, "I promise if you enter this pool, you will not leave it."
Okay, Deserim, what are you going to do?
Okay, right. This is where in normal games you're like, can I charm? Can I flatter this creature? I doubt I can. I think, unfortunately, the good Dr. Nevin, the good Surgeon Nevin even, they're a bit of a vermin, are they not? So I would like to, in some way, sure, we'll do the thing from before. You can see, like, wrestling with this creature, I'd like to grab one of these belts, with permission, obviously, like, tie it around the neck and sort of use them as a
raft? A goddamn pigeon
a raft,
raft?
a raft, a horse, a bit of transport. I'm going to maneuver my way across the water, so technically not underwater, and try and get across like a horrible, like, sort of like, dun, 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 like, your doom is inevitable and it is coming.
I think that I'm going to entertain this. I enjoy saying that as a GM. I think I'm going to say that because Nevin's body is starting to kind of bloat up with the gases and this fungus that's coursing through his body, he's going to become slightly more buoyant, I think. And that's how I actually think that when he was tossed into the pool, it was actually this kind of gaseous buildup that's sent him plump to the surface. And I think that you could probably take a run up and just jump on top and just kind of surf your way across this pool and then clamber up over the remaining rocks to get through without having to go through these tunnels. It's going to be pretty risky. And I'm going to say that I don't think any of your skills would apply.
No.
So it's going to be
fine.
It's going to be devil's bargains and dart dice only. So, but I mean, unless you can convince me otherwise that the skills, or you can think of another way.
I think no. Let's not face it. I want to surf the pigeon. And if I have no skills applicable, that doesn't matter. Fiona would like to surf the pigeon, so I will take that route. Okay,
so you're going to have one dart die for putting your body on the line. Let's have some devil's bargains, people. I'm going to say that no matter what, the Doctor's body will carry on animating and follow into the cathedral. So if you don't make it, the Doctor will. Or if you do make it, the Doctor also will.
Also will.
Yeah, I don't think I can come up with anything better than that.
I'm gonna say, if you make it into the Flocculent Cathedral, Anodyne will not grant the thing that you want most. Adrienne, sorry. No, I've forgotten your god's name.
Ariadne.
Ariadne.
Ariadne. Sorry, we all danced around the name. It's all good. So, as much as I love that as an narrative sense, I think we need the good Doctor to come with us, like as a sort of weekend at
Weekend at Bernie's.
The worst puppet. Yeah.
So yeah. All right. So one light, one dark.
One light, one dark. Let's see it. Remember, your current ruin is 5.
Current ruin is 5. So the dark dice is a 3.
Mm-hmm.
And the light dice is a 4. I know.
So
clinging on.
You make it. So and it's not far. It's not like this is a zombie powered powerboat. Like it's more a kind of very, very makeshift raft. And I think you're wrestling with the Doctor's corpse. And I think you're kind of getting him in a headlock, and the thrashing that Nevin is doing, or what used to be Nevin is doing, is what's powering you through the water. And as you almost get rolled over and pulled under, you kind of reach out a hand and you pull yourself up, and a bit of the cathedral wall falls through, and you fall through it yourself, covered in muck and mire. And as you get to your feet, you see Theoden stood ahead of you at the altar of the Flocculent Cathedral. and you see the bloated, reanimated fungal corpse of Nevin follow you in. And so ends Ring 4. The thing that strikes you both is that you are not alone in this place, because the saints have manifested. You see the beauty of your own saint beckoning you into this holy, sacred place, promising to deliver all it is that you ask. But you also see the other hunters' saints, and they are not beautiful figures. They are twisted, horrifying visions. I would like you please to all describe what you see in the other person's saint.
Saw Asclepia as this proud, standing figure with the long finger that was a scalpel. And there was a grace, a poise, that infallible doctor's poise that they have, the authority that those figures hold, that is so innate to the profession. But in reality, they are hunched. They are crooked. That hand that has that one lone finger is actually just full of different utensils at the end of each one. And not all of them look clean. They are rusted, covered in blood. There is a sort of infection that seems to spread among them. And the look on the face of Asclepia is one of madness and one of hatred.
Maddy, would you like to tell us what Deserim's saint now looks like to you?
So Deserim's Saint Ariadne, I think, to someone who does not worship her, appears to be cocooned in webbing. Just absolutely, you can see the outline of a person, but there are bulges in strange places which would indicate extra limbs. And there are bulges in places that would indicate extra eyes, but only 2 of the eyes are visible through the webbing.
Love that, thank you. Deserim, how does Theoden's saint appear to you? And how is it more horrifying than you can imagine?
So I think this was described before as like a many-headed sort of like horrific sort of beast and stuff. There's not many heads. There's not even one head. It is just headless, and the appendages and stuff like that all gone. It is just a torso and the hollowed out bit of a void, because there's nothing inside. It is just a black corruptingness.
That's amazing. Thank you. That was really good. As you see these grotesque abominations whispering in the other treasure hunters' ears, your saints tell you that unless you do something, there will be a cost. Deserim, your saint describes to you Theoden getting into the cathedral, into the vaults, finding that jewel you so long for. Theoden, you see an image of Deserim writing your mother's name into the Azure archives. They demand something of you, and they are very clear on this. The objects of your fondest desires are locked away in the crypts below. They are buried beneath the altar. They are grown into the wood of the walls. They are resting in the bottom of the font. They are suspended in the webs of the rafters. All that's required in the end from each of you is blood. Blood to open the crypt, blood to part the waters, blood to peel back the bowels, blood that has come from outside of the cathedral, that has been tempered by the fen. And the more you spill, the easier the path will be. What do the two of you wish to do?
Just to clarify, Theoden saw Deserim writing her mother's name.
Your mother's name.
My mother's name.
Yeah, not mine.
Oh,
Yeah.
whatever bones Theoden has left, she breaks immediately. Whatever blood she can spill, it's gone. As long as that name is in the archives, it's fine.
Okay. So are we to say that you two are going to go at each other?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I would like the two of you to describe how that looks, and then we will put together a contested roll and see how this goes down.
I do the very traditional sort of like we stare each other down and I just put up a hand and do the come at me motion. Ready and waiting.
Theoden gets down on her knees, shows you her remaining fingers, and then crashes them both down into the floor and breaks every last one that remains.
Who is making the first move, please?
I'm going to attempt to possess.
So we, at this point, we are not going to do any risk or ritual rolls. We are going to go to a contested roll. We are going to. This is it, everybody.
It's the final countdown.
So we have got two participants. You are going against each other. We agree what's at stake. I think everyone is clear that the winner of this roll will kill the other.
Yep.
How that happens will be to us as a group to talk about. But are we all on the same page? This is how this is going to happen? Because the saints demand blood.
Yeah,
Blood
I think
they will have.
basically my plan is that as soon as we come into contact with each other, I bring up that rusty bit of the sword and just slash it across her, or even just like dig it into the heart. So that's my plan. Is I need to get close to her for that. So if she runs at me or I run at her, that's exactly what I will do.
Theoden sees that she has this blade in her hand, is going to attempt to possess her, and so if that happens, that blade's going across her own neck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maddie,
So
what is your saint doing whilst these two face off against each other?
I think if either of them can spare a drop of blood for her, she will offer her bandages and salve to the donator and the scalpel and the rotted, infected instruments to the blasphemer.
Oh, that is so good. That is so good. I like that so much. Right. So we are going to put together a contest roll. So for each competing player, so Fiona and Jess, please take a light dice if you have a skill that will make this contest easier.
So I don't think I have any skills. I am attempting to cast a ritual, but it's not really a ritual.
There is something in this roll. I've actually just noticed this. It says, when treasure hunters act against each other, they must agree on what's at stake, which we have. And then it says, take a light die if you have a skill or equipment that makes the contest easier. I wonder if Fiona's blade counts as equipment.
Oh, God, yeah.
So that's 1 light dice to Fiona, 0 to Jess. Then please take 1 light die for each mark of ruin you have. I think you are both on 5 currently.
Oh my lord.
Right. You are both.
I'm going to write this down and then.
You are both putting. It says take a dark dice if the contest roll is inherently deadly or dangerous. It absolutely is.
Yep.
So that's 1 die. Then
Okay.
here's the kicker. You may now take as many additional dark dice as you are willing to risk. And let me bear in mind, please, let me tell you what's at stake. Any ones you roll will increase your ruin if they're on the dark dice. And it's the winner of this roll is whoever has the most sixes. If you're tied, it's whoever's got the most fives, etc., etc.
Okay.
I am going to take 4 dark dice.
4 dark dice, Fiona.
4
my God.
dice.
I'm not going to beat it. I'll match you. I'll take 4 dark dice as well, on top of the one I've got.
So,
Oh, my word. I believe that's 11 in total.
Yes.
For me, at least.
And
I've got the
10
sword.
for me.
it's 10 for Jess,
Yeah.
11 for Fiona. So, after you've rolled the dice, count all the sixes. Whoever has the most wins the contest. In the case of a tie, we go to fives. Then for every dark dice 1 you roll, your ruin goes up. So, essentially, if either of you roll a 1 on your dark dice, you will be lost to the forest.
Okay.
Right,
Good
let's... good luck, guys.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you got a result, Fiona?
I do have a result.
What is it?
Do you want me to go light dice first?
So tell me what you rolled as a total. Like, how many? What did you roll on your white dice, please?
So the highest number I rolled on my 6 white dice was a 3.
So you didn't roll any sixes.
No.
Jess, did you roll any sixes?
I rolled 3 6s.
Oh!
Whoa.
Did either of you roll a 1 on your dark dice?
No.
Also no.
Oh.
Oh!
In which case,
Nothing.
Theoden, please tell me what happens in this fight.
There is a moment where Deserim's threats pierce the veil of Theoden's outward hostility, and she looks into her eyes and sees that she is just a child. She is so afraid. She doesn't want to be here. She was never meant to be here. This broken little vessel, this thing that was outcast. And that's when the possession takes hold. That's when the knife finds its mark on her own neck. And that is when the blood is spilled. And it is so red. And there is so much of it.
I think that the best narrative end here is that this is the end of all of you.
Yeah.
And as you see, Theoden, your saint venerated in front of you, pleased at your sacrifice, you slump to the ground, hunched over the body of Deserim, as the shambling corpse of Nevin walks over and slumps down and joins you all on the floor, spent, spilled, and spoiled on the altar of the Flocculent Cathedral. Let's move to epilogues, people.
Yeah.
Can you please take a moment to describe how your absence in the world is felt?
For Deserim, it is felt back at the house where the other girls and boys work. There's certainly a void in that sense. The clients may ask what happened, but they can't talk about it because of various I don't know what the fantasy version is of an NDA, but sure.
An oath of silence.
An oath of silence. That's slightly less technical, isn't it? I think it is. Her room is left untouched, but around the door handle was a belt that she used to use to indicate that she had an appointment or two. And after several days and weeks, someone just goes and takes it off and gets the room ready for another person to take and make it their own.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jess or Maddy?
I think that Nevin's absence is felt by the justiciars who were vainly hoping for some kind of payment so that they could take Nevin's crimes off the books, but they didn't really expect it to happen. It was just a far-off pipe dream that they might get a little bit of extra coin for a bit of underhanded dealings. And there was also a young boy with a terminal disease who Nevin had promised to perform surgery on his return. And this boy cannot find anyone else qualified or confident enough to provide treatment. So in the end is taken by the illness, and it is up to the audience to decide whether that is a better fate than a quick bloody end in a slapdash surgery.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Jess?
Theoden's absence from the world goes entirely unnoted. She was stolen from her cult, but was already broken, and so had no real use. The woman that stole her, the name Theoden that Theoden herself had taken from her, was not her real name. Had she made it to the Azure Archives, it's likely that that entire endeavor would have been in vain. The real Theoden, her real mother, is still back at the cult and thinks nothing of the daughter she lost. The only thing that remains of her in this world is a small patch of skin with a scar on it, laid at the feet of the Saint of Sklilila.
It was incredible. Thank you. All I have to say is, as this rounds up, is we are left with those haunting epilogues of these characters. And perhaps tales of their fate will fill the songs of bandits on the road through the gloaming mire. But until then, Saint who spilled their blood for me, lain in flocculent reverie, I seek your light upon my brow, I would be your trophy now. Chained within this dark domain, your relics, all that I retain, all your teachings, I avow, I would be your trophy now. This foul entombment of your will, I would not see you slumber still. No quarter to what men allow, take me as your trophy now. That was Trophy Dark. Thank you very much, everybody.
Woo! We did it!